Tom held tightly to the broken control stick as his small shuttle dropped through the atmosphere. Sparks flew from the dashboard. The air inside smelled like burning metal. Alarms rang in his ears, warning him of power failure, fuel loss, and structural damage. He ignored them all. His only focus was landing alive. Outside the window, the sky turned silver. Strange clouds moved like liquid. The planet below looked wild, full of green and blue lights. He had never seen anything like it. His ship hit the ground hard, sliding across dirt and glowing grass. It finally stopped near the edge of a forest with trees that looked like glass towers. Tom sat still for a few seconds. His hands shook. He took a deep breath, opened the cracked door, and stepped out. The air was warm and had a sweet smell. He looked around. No cities, no signs of people. Only strange hills, smooth rocks, and a deep silence. His shuttle was ruined. The engine was gone. The radio was dead, and the food supply was crushed. He checked his small oxygen tank. 2 days left if he used it carefully. He grabbed a pack, filled it with tools, and started walking toward a ridge. From there, he might see more of the area. As he climbed the slope, he noticed the sky above him shift in color, from silver to light blue, then to pale gold. It was beautiful, but it also made him nervous. This place was not normal. The forest behind him made no sound, not even a bird or insect. At the top of the ridge, Tom froze. On the other side was a valley, and in that valley stood a giant structure. It looked like a tower, but not human-made. The walls were smooth and black. Blue lights moved across it like veins. Around the base, tall figures in armor walked in lines. They looked like guards. Tom ducked behind a rock. His heart raced. He pulled out his small scope and looked again. These were not humans. Their skin was pale silver. Their eyes glowed faintly. Each one carried a long weapon. They moved with perfect control, not like machines, but something trained for battle. He had no idea what kind of aliens they were. He had never seen them in any report or map. Still, they were here, and he was alone. He thought about running back to his shuttle, but before he could move, he heard something behind him. He turned and saw the figures standing just a few feet away. Their armor was black with silver trim. They pointed their weapons at him, but did not fire. One of them spoke in a strange language. The words were sharp and fast. Tom raised his hand slowly. "I'm not a threat," he said. "I'm just lost." They didn't understand. But one of them stepped forward and placed a small metal device on his chest. It stuck like a magnet. A second later, Tom felt a strange heat near his neck. And then the device spoke in a robotic voice, a known being. "You will come." Tom didn't argue. The guards took his pack and led him down the ridge. He was brought through the valley, past the tall black towers, and into the structure. Inside, the halls were wide and lit with soft white lights, symbols. On the walls glowed as they passed. Everything was clean, quiet, and cold. They brought him to a room with a cage made of light. He was pushed gently inside, and the walls behind him closed. The guards left without speaking. He sat on the smooth floor and tried to think. Where was he? Who were these people? Why hadn't they killed him? Hours passed, maybe more. He saw more of the aliens walk by. Some looked at him with interest, others with fear. No one spoke to him. No one fed him. He felt like an animal in a zoo. He thought of Earth. He thought of the stars, the station he left behind, and his last message sent before the jump failed. It was a simple log. Test flight begins. Now here he was, alone on an unknown planet, surrounded by beings who didn't know what he was. Or maybe they did. As he sat thinking, he noticed one alien standing near the door longer than usual. It was a younger soldier, smaller than the rest. This one stared at Tom with curious eyes. After a few seconds, the soldier walked away. Tom didn't know why, but that look felt different. He stood and walked toward the wall of light. It buzzed softly. He placed his hand near it, but the wall stayed firm. No way out. He was truly trapped. Night came, or what he thought was night. The lights dimmed. The hall became quieter. Tom lay down on the cold floor, trying to sleep. His mind was full of questions, but his body was tired. Before he closed his eyes, he heard one last thing. A loud horn echoed through the halls. Footsteps rushed past his cell. Voices shouted in the alien language. Something was happening. He sat up quickly. The air felt tense. He stood and waited. Whatever was coming, it was big. And soon, he would learn that everything about this place, this planet, and these beings would change because of one simple fact. He was human. Tom stood in the glowing cage, listening to the sounds outside. Heavy boots moved fast. Voices shouted in the alien language. The quiet halls were now full of activity. Something was happening, and it had nothing to do with him, or so he thought. Then, without warning, the cage door opened. The wall of light faded. 4 armored guards rushed in and pointed their long weapons at him. One of them spoke through a small device on his chest. "You come now." Tom raised his hands and nodded. He had no idea where they were taking him, but he didn't resist. He was led through wide halls, past more aliens who stood and watched as he passed. Some looked surprised, others looked afraid. Whispers followed him. One word kept coming up again and again, spoken in hushed tones. Human. He heard it clearly. They knew what he was. But how? The guards led him into a circular room with a high ceiling. Strange light came from the walls, like liquid stars moving in slow patterns. At the center of the room stood a large table made of glass. Round it sat 7 alien figures. Their robes were long, and their skin was marked with thin glowing lines. They all looked at Tom as he entered. One of them spoke in the alien tongue. The translation device repeated it in a cold voice. This creature was found near our outer towers. It walks like us. It speaks like us. It is human. Another alien leaned forward. Impossible. Humans are myths, stories from long ago. A third one stood. We cannot take chances. He must be studied, tested. He could be dangerous. Tom looked around, confused but calm. He didn't understand most of what was happening. But one thing was clear. They had heard of humans, somehow. They knew the name, and it meant something big to them, before anyone else could speak. The room fell silent. A soft sound echoed through the hall, like wind passing through crystal. All the aliens stood and bowed their heads. The guards stepped back and lowered their weapons. Tom turned to the door and saw her. She was tall and graceful. Her robe shimmered. Like water under moonlight, a silver crown sat on her head, and her eyes glowed faint blue. She walked without fear, her steps smooth and slow. When she entered the room, everyone moved aside. She was the queen. She looked at Tom for a long moment. Her face showed no fear, no anger, just calm. Then she raised her hand. "Stand down," she said. Her voice strong and clear. "This is a human." The room froze. No one moved. No one spoke. The queen walked closer to Tom, her eyes never leaving his. The guards lowered their weapons. One of the council members spoke again. "Your Majesty, he is a risk. We must." The queen turned her head slightly. "He is not a risk. He is proof." She looked back at Tom. "Long ago, we learned of humans from the stars. We thought your kind was gone, lost in war. But you are here. You live." Tom was shocked. She spoke perfect English. Her voice was soft but powerful. "You know about Earth?" he asked. She nodded. "Not much, only pieces. But we knew your kind was strong, brave, and dangerous to those who sought war." Tom lowered his hand slowly. "I'm not here to fight," he said. "My ship crashed. I'm alone." "I believe you," she said. She turned to the council. "He will stay as our guest, not a prisoner. Prepare a chamber for him. Treat him with respect." The council did not argue. They simply nodded. Tom followed the queen through the glowing halls. The guards stayed back. It felt strange. Only an hour ago, he was trapped in a cage. Now, he was walking beside royalty. She brought him to a small room with soft lights and a bed made of smooth cloth. There was water, food, and a screen, showing images from the outside. "This will be your place for now," she said. "Why are you helping me?" Tom asked. The queen looked at him. "Because your kind once saved my people. long ago. During the Dark War, a ship from Earth warned us before the enemy came. Many lives were saved. We never forgot. Tom sat on the edge of the bed. That was a long time ago. I wasn't even born. You were the same skin, she said. You carry the same courage. She turned to leave. Rest now. We will speak again soon. When the door closed, Tom sat in silence. His mind raced. A queen who spoke his language, a history he didn't know, a people who saw him as something more than a lost traveler. He looked at the screen on the wall. It showed the stars above the planet, shining like diamonds in the sky. He whispered to himself, "What have I walked into?" Outside his room, the queen met with her guards. Her voice was firm. "Protect him? There are those who fear the return of humans. They will try to take him. But he is under my protection now." The guards bowed far away. Deep within the alien city, a shadow moved. A figure in dark armor watched the queen's words on a hidden screen. He turned to his followers. "The queen is wrong. The human must not live. He is the key to a power we cannot control." Plans began to form. The peace would not last long. But for now, Tom was safe. Tom stood near the window in the quiet room. The stars outside looked peaceful. He had been given food, fresh clothes, and a place to rest, but his thoughts were far from calm. He could not stop thinking about the queen, her words, and the strange way everyone reacted to him. Why did the word human carry so much weight here? Why did the queen speak his language so well? And who were the enemies she mentioned from the past? Tom turned as the door opened. A guard stepped in, not with a weapon, but with a polite bow. "The queen has called for you." The guard said. Tom followed him through wide halls. The city inside the mountain was quiet. Most aliens they passed stopped and stared at him. Some looked curious, others uneasy. No one spoke to him. He was taken to a large chamber unlike any he had seen before. The walls were made of crystal that shimmered with blue light. Strange carvings moved slowly across the surface as if alive. At the center stood a high platform. With a circle of light around it, the queen stood beside it, her hands folded in front of her. "Come forward, Tom," she said kindly. He stepped up to the platform. "This is the chamber of judgment," she said, "a place where truth is seen without lies. Here, your past can be shown through light and memory. My council has demanded proof that you are truly human." Tom raised his eyebrows. "You want to look inside my mind?" The queen nodded. Double quotes, "Yes. But only memories of your past. It will not hurt. If you agree, step into the light." Tom looked at the circle. He hesitated for a moment, then stepped inside. The light grew stronger but felt warm, not painful. The chamber grew silent. Then the walls around him began to glow brighter. Images appeared. First, his childhood on Earth. Green trees, small homes, his mother's smile, his first walk through snow. Then, his training at the Space Academy, long hours of study, flight, tests, laughter with friends. Then, his first mission, the jump test, the engine failure, the crash. The aliens around him watched in silence. They saw his pain, his courage, his fear, and his survival. They saw he had no weapons, no plan to attack, only the will to live. When the light faded, the room stayed quiet. Tom stepped back. His legs felt weak. The queen spoke first. "You speak the truth. You are human." One of the council members stood slowly. "He is not a threat, but he is still unknown. We must decide what to do next." Another counselor added, "If word spreads that a human lives, it may cause unrest. Not all. Remember the past kindly." The queen raised her hand. "The past is not the human's fault. He is not to blame for old fears. He is a guest of the crown, and I will not allow harm to come to him." Tom felt the tension in the room. He could see that some agreed with her, but others looked uncertain. He spoke up. "I didn't come here on purpose. My ship broke down. I don't want war. I don't want power. I just want to survive and find my way back home." The queen looked at the council. "Then let us not treat him as a weapon or a secret. Let us treat him as what he is, a person, like any of us." Slowly, the council nodded. No cheers, no smiles, but no protest either. The Queen stepped down from the platform and stood beside Tom. "You have passed our test, not through force, but through truth. That is more powerful than any weapon." Tom nodded. He felt tired but grateful. The Queen motioned. "To the guard. Show him the garden. Let him walk freely within the inner city. Let our people see he is not a beast, but a man." Tom followed the guard down another hallway, deeper into the mountain. As they walked, he asked a question that had been burning in his mind. "Why do some of your people fear humans?" The guard looked ahead as he spoke. "Long ago, there was a war in this part of the galaxy. A dark force spread across systems. Your kind fought them. We heard stories, ships with fire, voices of thunder, and humans who never gave up. Some call it bravery, others call it chaos." Tom thought for a moment. Maybe both are true. They reached a garden hidden deep inside the rock. The trees glowed softly. A stream flowed through the center, and the sky above was not real, but showed stars on a curved glass roof. It felt calm, peaceful. Tom sat near the water and looked at his reflection. He didn't feel like a hero or a threat. He just felt small, in a big world. But above him, in a tower high above the garden, a figure watched through a screen. He wore a dark cloak and had sharp eyes. The man whispered to himself, "The Queen has made her choice. But the others will not sit quiet. The human must be removed before he brings change." Plans were already in motion, quiet plans, dangerous ones. And while Tom rested among glowing flowers, unaware of the eyes watching him, the winds of conflict began to rise again. The garden felt like another world. Soft blue leaves moved with the wind. The air was warm and calm. Tom sat under a tall glowing tree. For the first time since his crash, he felt a little peace. But his mind stayed busy. He thought about the Queen's words, the images from the chamber, and the way the council looked at him. He was not just a visitor. He was a symbol, a reminder of something powerful from the past. That was dangerous. The sound of light footsteps broke his thoughts. He turned and saw the Queen walking alone. She wore a simple robe this time, not her crown or royal jewels. Her face was calm but serious. "May I sit?" she asked. Tom nodded. She sat beside him on the soft grass. "I thought you would be busy." He said. She smiled gently. "Today, I chose to walk alone and to speak without titles." Tom looked at her. "You said humans helped your people once. Can you tell me what really happened?" The Queen nodded and looked up at the glowing sky. "Many generations ago, before I was born, our world was not safe. A great enemy came from the stars. They did not speak. They only destroyed. Our weapons were useless. Our cities fell one by one." Tom listened closely. "Our last hope was a signal we sent into deep space. A cry for help. No one answered for many days. But then, something came. A ship, not like ours. It moved with speed and fire. Inside were humans. They were small in number, but full of courage." Tom was quiet. He had never heard this story before. "They warned us, helped us. They gave us time to escape. Most of them did not survive. But they made a choice. They stayed and fought while we ran. We owe our survival to them." The Queen turned to him. "After the war ended, no human was ever seen again. Some believe your kind had vanished. Others thought you were only stories. But I believe you were real." Tom looked down. "I'm just an engineer. I fix ships. I didn't even know this place existed. You carry the same spirit." She said, "You risked your life in the unknown. You came with no weapon, no anger. You remind us of the best part of your kind." Tom thought for a moment. "But some of your people don't see it that way." The Queen's face grew serious. Yes. Some fear the past. They believe humans will bring war again. Others want your strength for their own purpose. Tom turned to her. "You mean someone wants to use me?" The Queen nodded. "There are leaders in the army who think your blood may hold secrets. They speak of old power. They want to find Earth, not for peace, but for control." Tom stood and walked a few steps, then turned back. "I don't want to be used. I just want to go home." The Queen rose to her feet. "I understand, but it will not be easy. You are watched, protected, yes, but also followed. Tom frowned. So what do we do? She looked at him with calm eyes. We find the truth. We show them your heart, not just your face. There's a way, a path to prove who you are, not just through memory, but through action. Tom crossed his arms. What kind of action? There's an ancient test, the Queen said, a trial not taken for many years. It was once used to decide leadership, trust, and honor. It does not test strength. It tests the soul. Tom raised an eyebrow. That sounds dangerous. She nodded. It is. But it may be the only way to silence your enemies. Tom sat again and thought. He was tired. He missed Earth. He missed normal life. But deep inside, he felt something else, a need to stand. Not just for himself, but for the truth. If I pass this trial, he said, what happens then? The council will no longer question your place, she said, and the army will lose its excuse to act. Tom gave a slow nod. Then I'll do it. The Queen looked proud but also worried. You are brave, Tom, but this will not be easy. He smiled a little. Nothing has been easy since I landed here. Suddenly, the peace was broken by the sound of running feet. A guard appeared at the edge of the garden. His face showed alarm. Your Majesty, he said, there has been an attack near the chamber gate. Unknown forces tried to enter the data vault. 2 guards are hurt. The Queen's face turned cold. Who were they? The guard shook his head. They wore black armor. No marks, but they moved like trained soldiers. She turned to Tom. This is the beginning. They will try more. They fear what you might become. Tom stepped forward. Then we move fast. Before they do worse, the Queen nodded. We start the trial at first light. As the sun dipped behind the crystal roof, the stars above shined brighter. Shadows moved in dark corners of the city. Secrets grew heavy. But among the fear and danger, a small light had started to rise. It was not a weapon. It was a man. A human. The sun rose over the crystal towers of the alien city. A soft orange light filled the sky. Tom stood near the entrance of the Queen's palace. Wearing a plain robe given to him by her servants, he looked calm on the outside, but his thoughts were heavy. Today, he would begin the ancient trial. He had slept very little. His mind had been full of memories and doubts. He had never taken part in a test like this. He was not a warrior. He was just an engineer. Still, something inside him told him this was right. This was needed. The Queen walked beside him. Her steps were quiet, but her presence was strong. The trial begins at the lower temple, she said. It is hidden deep inside the mountain. Few have seen it. Even fewer have passed it. Tom nodded. He had already made his choice. They entered a long tunnel, guarded by silent soldiers. The Queen led him to a gate carved with strange symbols. The doors opened with a soft hum, revealing a wide hall lit by floating crystals. 3 robed elders stood at the center, waiting. One of them stepped forward. Tom of Earth, the elder said, you enter this trial as a guest of the Queen, but you stand here on your own. No one can help you inside. No weapon will be given. Only your heart and mind will guide you. Tom gave a quiet nod. We do not test your strength, the elder continued. We test your choices. The gate behind him closed. A new door opened ahead. Tom took a deep breath and stepped into the unknown. Inside, the world changed. He found himself in a dark room with mirrors on all sides. Each mirror showed a different version of himself. One showed fear. One showed anger. One showed pride. One showed a broken man. A soft voice spoke around him. Which one is you? Tom looked at each reflection. Slowly, he walked to the one that showed a tired but steady man. The one who had made mistakes, but kept walking forward. He placed his hand on the mirror. It melted into light and opened the next path. He walked through a narrow bridge over a river of fire. The heat was real. Wind howled around him. Voices whispered from the flames, turn back, you are not worthy. Tom kept walking. He thought of Earth, of the Queen, of the story she told, of the soldiers who wanted to use him, and of the truth he carried inside. After what felt like hours, he reached the final chamber. At the center stood a stone table. On it lay an old silver orb, A voice echoed once more. One path will lead to power. One path will lead to peace. One path will lead to death. Choose. Tom looked at the orb. Then he looked at the 3 doors behind it. Each one had no mark, no clue. He closed his eyes and listened to his heart. He stepped away from the orb. I choose no door. He said, I choose my own path. I don't want power. I don't want control. I want peace. But I'll walk through fire if I must. The chamber fell silent. Then, light filled the room. The walls melted away. He found himself standing back at the entrance of the trial hall. The elders stood before him. The queen watched from behind. The lead elder gave a small nod. The trial has spoken. The queen stepped forward, her eyes full of pride. You did not bend. You did not break. You chose with wisdom. Tom felt weak in his legs, but he smiled. I hope it was enough. The queen turned to the guards. Let the council know. The trial is complete. His place is earned. But peace did not last long. That night, the queen held a private meeting with her most trusted advisors. Tom was allowed to rest in his guest room as the queen spoke to her inner circle. A guard ran into the room with urgency. My queen, he said, there has been an attack. At the outer gate, a supply ship was destroyed. The attackers wore armor, but they used human tech. The queen stood at once. Human tech? That's not possible. The guard nodded. We believe someone is trying to make it look like your guest is involved. The queen's face grew serious. They want to turn the people against him. This is not just fear. This is rebellion. Far away, in the shadows of the lower city, a group of generals gathered around a table. Their leader, a sharp-eyed man with a long scar across his face, slammed his hand on the surface. The queen protects the human. She trusts him. But we know what humans are. If they return, we lose control. One of the generals spoke softly. The trial did not break him. The people respect him now. The leader hissed. Then we break him outside the trial. We use fear. We spread lies. If that fails, we remove him by force. Plans were made. Secret orders were sent. Back in his room, Tom looked out at the night sky. He felt peace, but also something dark in the air, like a storm building behind the silence. The queen entered quietly. Word is spreading, she said. Many now respect you, but others grow louder in their hate. A fire is starting. I do not know how long we can stop it. Tom stood beside her. Then we don't wait for it to burn. We move first. She looked at him with quiet strength. Together, Tom. Not a dot, double quotes, together dot. In the halls of the alien empire, trust had been born. But in the shadows, rebellion grew. The true test had only just begun. The city was no longer silent. Soldiers moved in every hall. Lights blinked red across the palace walls. The guards stayed alert, and whispers filled the air. People were afraid. The rumors had spread fast. Some said the human had brought war. Some said he was a spy. Others still believed in him. Tom stood with the queen in her war chamber. A map floated in the air, showing the palace and its surrounding towers. Colored dots marked the loyal forces, while red signs showed places taken by rebels. They moved faster than we thought, the queen said, her voice calm but heavy. For outposts are lost. The eastern gate was attacked at dawn. Tom stared at the map. Your own people are following them. Rebels? She nodded slowly. Fear is a powerful weapon. They think removing me will stop the return of humans. They fear what you represent. Tom felt the weight of her words. He was no soldier, but his presence had caused a war to begin, not by his choice, but still because of who he was. What can we do? He asked. There's only one way now. The queen replied, an old custom. Before power falls into full war, we offer a final challenge, the trial of fire. One champion from each side steps forward. The outcome decides the future. If our side wins, the rebellion must fall back, and if we lose, they take control. I step down, and you will not be safe. Tom looked at her with steady eyes. Then let me be your champion. The queen blinked once. Her voice dropped low. This trial is not like the last. It is not just a test of choice. It is a test of pain, courage, and will. You may not return from it. Tom nodded. I understand, but I have come this far. I won't hide now. News of the trial spread across the city. Crowds gathered near the arena deep inside the mountain. The place was carved from stone and filled with glowing light. A wide circle marked the trial ground. High walls surrounded it, where thousands could watch. On one side stood Tom, dressed in simple armor shaped to fit him. It was light but strong. He carried no weapon. That was the rule. On the other side, the rebel champion stepped forward. He was tall and strong, with hard eyes and a cold face. His armor was dark red. His name was Sarn, a loyal general turned traitor. He had trained since childhood and fought in 10 battles. He had killed without fear. Tom had no training, no war experience, but he had something else, a reason to stand. The trial began with a deep gong. The crowd fell silent. Sarn charged fast. His fists struck like stone. Tom dodged, moved back, then rolled to the side. He was smaller, faster, and more alert, but each hit from Sarn was like a hammer. Tom fell once, twice, but always got back up. You don't belong here, Sarn said through his teeth. You are just a man lost in the stars. Tom stood again, wiping blood from his lip. Maybe. But I'm here now, and I won't fall to fear. Sarn rushed again. This time Tom didn't run. He ducked under a strike, stepped behind, and pushed Sarn off balance. The crowd gasped. A few even cheered. Minutes passed. Sweat poured down. Tom's arms ached. His legs were shaking. But still he stood. Every time Sarn hit him, he rose again. He didn't fight like a soldier. He fought like a man who refused to quit. Finally, Sarn made a mistake. He swung too wide. Tom moved fast, grabbed his arm, and pulled him to the ground. He didn't strike. He didn't hurt him. He stepped back. I didn't come to destroy you, Tom said. I came to prove I belong. Sarn looked up from the ground, breathing hard. He didn't move. The gong rang again. The trial was over. The silence broke into loud voices. Some shouted. Some clapped. The queen stood at the highest seat. She raised her hand. The human has passed. The trial is done. The law is clear. Sarn stood slowly. He looked at Tom with a strange mix of anger and respect. You won today, but not all will stop. Tom nodded. Then I'll keep standing. That night, fires were put out in parts of the city. The rebellion lost many of its followers. Some leaders surrendered. Others fled into the shadows. The queen met Tom in the quiet garden once again. Her face showed relief, but also worry. You did more than I hoped. You fought with strength, but also mercy. Tom sat on the stone bench, tired but calm. They needed to see I wasn't just a ghost from stories. They saw it, she said, and now they believe. But the danger is not over, he said. Some still hate me, yes? The queen said, but you gave them no reason to fear. That is power they cannot break. Far away, in a hidden base, a figure watched the trial on a dark screen. He turned to his followers. The people trust the human now, but it is not over. There's one more step. We must stop him before he leaves. The room grew cold. Plans were set again. Back in the garden, the queen looked up at the sky. The stars wait for you, Tom, but so do more challenges. Will you still walk forward? Tom looked up to. He thought of Earth. He thought of everything he had seen and done here. Yes, he said, I will. The stars above the alien world were quiet, but the city below was still tense. Lights from tall towers lit the sky. Guards stood at every gate. The trial of fire was over. But the queen knew peace was still fragile. Tom stood at the edge of the palace balcony. He looked down at the city that had once feared him. Now, many looked to him with respect, but not all. He could feel it. Shadows still moved behind the walls. Not everyone had accepted the result of the trial. The queen walked beside him. Her steps were calm as always. Word has spread across the planets, she said. Leaders from nearby systems have sent messages. Some are surprised, some are hopeful. One even asked if more humans are coming. Tom smiled lightly. I wish I knew the answer. For now, it's just me. She looked at him. Do you still want to return home? Tom looked up at the stars. Yes, but not to hide. I want to tell them what I saw, what I learned. Earth doesn't know your people survived. Maybe now we can build something better. The Queen nodded. I want that too. The past was filled with war, but this time we begin with truth. Later that day, a small ship was prepared. It was one of the finest in the Queen's fleet. Its design was old, but its systems were fast and strong. It was made for long travel. The Queen had it upgraded with human tools, using parts from Tom's broken shuttle. Before the launch, a small ceremony was held in the Great Hall. The council stood beside the Queen. Soldiers and civilians filled the room. Tom walked into the hall wearing a dark robe given to him by the Queen's personal guard. One of the council elders stepped forward. Tom of Earth, you came to us by accident, but your actions were not by mistake. You stood with honesty. You faced fire. You chose peace. For that, we honor you. He held out a small silver medallion. On it was carved a symbol Tom had seen in the garden, the symbol of unity between two worlds. The Queen stepped closer. You came to us as a stranger, she said, but you leave as a part of our story. Whatever happens next, you will not walk alone. Tom accepted the medallion and bowed. Thank you. I will not forget this place. The hall echoed with quiet respect. No loud cheers, no wild celebration, but it was a moment of deep meaning. After the ceremony, Tom walked toward the landing zone. The ship stood ready. Its engines hummed softly. But danger had not disappeared from a hidden chamber under the city. The last rebel leader watched through a small screen. His face was full of anger. He must not reach Earth, he said to his followers. If he tells his people about us, they will return. We will lose our future. He gave the order. A small group of soldiers, dressed in stolen armor, moved through the underground tunnels. Their plan was clear: reach the landing zone before the launch. And the human Tom stepped into the ship and checked the systems. Everything was ready. As he turned to say goodbye to the Queen one last time, the alarm rang out. Security breach at Gate 9, a guard shouted. The Queen's face changed. She looked at Tom. Go. Now, Tom shook his head. I'm not leaving you in danger. Just then, the sound of weapons echoed in the air. The rebel soldiers broke through the outer wall and ran toward the ship. Guards rushed to stop them. A loud blast shook the ground. Tom grabbed a tool from the ship, a simple metal rod he had once used to fix engines. He ran outside. To help too. Rebels ran toward the Queen. Tom stepped in front of her. One of the attackers swung a blade, but Tom blocked it with the rod. He moved fast, not like a trained fighter, but with heart. A second rebel tried to shoot, but a palace guard tackled him. The fight was short, but sharp in the end. 3 rebels were caught, and the rest fled into the hills. Tom stood, breathing hard. The Queen stepped forward and placed a hand on his shoulder. You could have flown away, she said. I told you. Tom replied, I won't run. She smiled. I believe you now more than ever. That evening, the ship lifted into the sky. Tom sat in the pilot's seat, watching the city grow smaller behind him. The Queen stood on the highest tower, watching the ship rise toward the stars. Inside the ship, Tom opened a new log file. Day 1. Leaving the alien world. Mission: return to Earth. Goal: peace. As he looked out into space, he thought of what came next. Earth would have questions. Some would be afraid. Others would be curious. But Tom knew one thing this time: the story would begin with respect, not fear. Back on the alien world, the Queen stood alone under the night sky. A royal guard stepped beside her. Do you think he'll find his people? The guard asked. She looked up. He will. And when he does, the galaxy will begin a new chapter. And far away, across the stars, Earth waited. A human had returned from the unknown, and with him, the future had already started.